In America, dining out is a common occurrence. This is a way for people to communicate socially. People gather at restaurants to celebrate birthdays, catch up with old friends, or just enjoy a night out. The evening remains enjoyable until the waiter brings the bill, and customers are then forced to evaluate their service and tip an amount representative of that quality. As with many things, however, there are misunderstandings about the expectations of the tip. First, let's explore what Michael Lynn considers to be the predictors of tip size. These include bill size, server friendliness, service quality, server attractiveness, customer sex, patronage frequency, and payment method. The first, bill size, is said to be the most accurate predictor of tip size. This means that the larger a customer's bill becomes, the more likely they are to leave a large tip. This is because customers generally leave a large percent tip based on the amount of the bill. Server friendliness and service quality go hand in hand. The nicer a server is to his or her customers, the more likely the customers will perceive a greater quality of service. Further, if a waiter or waitress is attractive, they generally get somewhat bigger tips than someone who is considered unattractive. Although this seems unfair, one must consider the bias of customer sex and its predictive effect on tips. It is suggested that men tip better than women. Why? There isn't much explanation other than the way John McCarty puts it, that customers think women are just used to men paying. According to Michael Lynn, another explanation may be that men seem to be more affected by the attractiveness of a server than women are, although this connection is not made in the previous research document of Lynn. The idea of patronage frequency and its positive effect on tips is an interesting one. This idea states that as customers attend a restaurant more frequently, they are more likely to leave greater tips. However, the reason they are leaving greater tips is not because of their high evaluation of service. The real reason is that they do this because they are building a relationship with the business and its employees, and a way to contribute positively to that relationship is to leave good tips. Another interesting theory that popped up is that the payment method a customer uses can affect a server's tip. This theory insists that customers who pay with credit are more likely to leave a larger tip than those who pay with cash. The explanation for this is such that a person who is paying with a credit card is not experiencing the immediate loss, so they are more willing to give more. These predictors are not the only things used to try to guess what kind of tip a customer will leave. Servers often make judgments based on the quality of customer that they perceive in hopes of gauging how large of a tip they will receive. One might be surprised to know that tips are something that servers talk about all the time. Before work, during work, on breaks, and even after work. It seems that everyone is just trying to discover what is the correct way to tip, and servers just want to know what to expect. In a survey conducted at several businesses in the Northwest Indiana area, including Texas Roadhouse, Tyler's Tender, and Chili's, servers were asked to answer a few questions about their opinions on tipping. Approximately 2/3 of those that were surveyed answered that tipping should be a requirement in some form. Some left comments that after that point, how much the customer tip should depend on the quality of service and such factors as were listed above. However, no one agreed that leaving nothing was much of an option. As John McCarty pointed out, some customers don't realize that servers earn their vast majority of their living off of their tips. Since tipping has become such a norm, the minimum wage for servers has dropped down to somewhere around $2. Customers may realize that many servers are supporting themselves with their jobs. However, some people do not view this vocation as a real job, which can affect the tips of customers with such an attitude. This can lead to servers supporting themselves and paying bills on the terrible tips that customers have left. Because of this, approximately 80% of those servers that were surveyed in the Northwest Indiana Local Business Study considered the generally accepted 15% tip to be outdated. One person mentioned that 15% was the norm back when gas was a lot cheaper, but with gas prices so high, how can someone support themselves off of a mere 15%? So I propose to you, don't leave a tip just because it's the norm. Think about what you're doing. Think about the life through the eyes of another. Think about who your money is affecting. Tips are ultimately optional. No one is going to chase you and beat you down for that tip you forgot to leave the other day. However, you might upset a couple people or get a bad reputation at the restaurant you frequent. Although this idea of tipping is an optional one, the absence of a tip is something that is frowned upon. For more information about what would be an appropriate amount to tip, please visit this web address. Thank you for listening.